Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Customs. So today we are going to go over some AK Interactive Extreme Metal paints that I'm testing. Now, I never heard of these paints before, but Woody from Archifine Transfer Details, we were going through some emails with some of the decal stuff, and I was showing him some things that I was doing, and he told me about this stuff because he saw that I do a lot of the chrome work with Alclad Chrome. So after we got to talking, he said that this stuff is probably more durable than the Alclad Chrome, because Alclad Chrome, when you work on that stuff, it will rub off on your fingers if you don't seal it. And the problem is when you seal it, you may dull it down. So this is Alclad Chrome and this is the gloss clear. So you can see up here these two bracelets that I'm working on with Wonder Woman. So those two pieces worked out great with Alclad Chrome, but they're magnetized into the statue. So if the person's handling them and you don't seal them, over time you start seeing the gloss black show. So what Alclad has this aqua clear stuff that you can seal. Stuff works out great, but the problem is you got to put on a nice thin layer. You got to make sure it's on there pretty well, and you got to let it cure for like 6 hours. But after it's done, you do get nice looking bracelets. You can see the reflection. They look chromed out. They look beautiful. So, but the problem is from what I understand, over time, if you're interchanging your parts, that aqua gloss clear might actually rub off, and then you might start rubbing off the chrome too down the line. Now, I'm not saying the people that get these statues are interchanging every single day, but you know, you always like to make sure stuff's secured for the long haul. So we're going to try this stuff out. So over here you can see this is a Harley Quinn neck piece that I just kind of glossed up in gloss white. And you can see on the right side, this is the chrome from AK, and then over here this is steel. I also did pick up their gold. The gold is pretty cool, but so far I like the AK gold for a specific look, but I also like the pale gold for a specific look from Alclad. So it's always good to have different brands and different colors for different projects. So you can see the chrome is not bad. It looks pretty good. You got a nice reflection on it. When I first sprayed it on, it was like cloudy, and I was like, ah man, it's not really chrome. So I kind of started doing some other stuff. I came back, and as it cured, it did kind of work a little bit. So I was like, oh, it's not bad. And then I kind of buffed it a little bit because I have this stuff for buffing when I do my Alclad Chromes. So I did buff it just a little bit, and it looks pretty shiny. So I think it might be a good alternative to Alclad. I don't know, I gotta do some more testing. This over here is the steel. So the steel isn't really like a, it's not like a reflective, it's more of like a dull. So that's actually not bad too, because I think the steel will be good for some other projects. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do some testing with this stuff. So as you can see, I got two cans here of one gloss white and one gloss black. I'm going to go into the garage. I'm going to grab another one of these Harley neck pieces I have. I'm going to gloss black it today. And then once that's cured up, maybe by the end of the day, we could come back and I'll do a testing of the chrome and the steel on black gloss and see if it looks different, because I do know Alclad, when you do gloss black, you get more of a steel look, because it seems like the gloss black kind of shines through the Alclad a little bit. And I do know when you do gloss white, it feels more of a brighter metal than a steel. So I don't know, we'll see if this AK stuff matters what color you use. I always just like to kind of see and test. So you can see over here, this is a Wonder Woman premium format exclusive hand. So I'm working on a Wonder Woman for somebody. So we have the hand holding the axe, we have the hand holding the shield, and then we have the right arm holding a spear. Now all these pieces, I did better magnets and rods, you know, metal pegs for them to go in and out. So if the client is actually holding these pieces and changes them in and out, we don't want that, you know, Alclad to rub off. So if this AK stuff works pretty good with my testing, for this Wonder Woman, we're going to use the AK chrome on these bracelets, and we'll use the steel on the axe, and then we'll weather the axe. I just want to see how this stuff lasts for the long haul, and I want to do some testing. So I figure, you know, once these pieces are tested out here, we can rub our fingers on there. We can see how things look there. Maybe do some scraping. And then once how all that works out, maybe what we'll do is we'll grab some car paint from Dupli-Color, the gloss clear, and we'll just gloss it, just to see if there's any major reactions, if it bubbles it, if it warps it, or if it doesn't do anything at all. I don't know, I just like to do some testing just to know where my limits are. You know, we'll see how things work out. But from what I understand, this AK Interactive stuff is very durable, and it doesn't rub off like Alclad does. So, at least the Alclad Chrome. Not all Alclads rub off. It's just the chrome that seems to rub off, because I use their pale gold and I use a couple others, and they're really durable too. So I think it's just so when we get to that chrome, like any kind of a chrome paint, and you want that mirror shine, it seems that a lot of these paints might not be as good, because it's like such fine pigments of metal. I don't know. So we're going to do some testing and see how things work out. Alright, so I got my items to do some testing. So what I did was, these two items here is Dupli-Color primer sealer, and then once that cured up long enough, I just did some of the gloss colors on top of that one. This one right here is just straight up gloss because I just wanted to see if it would go on smooth. So it got kind of some roughness on there, so I had to do the sealer first. Like I said, I'm just testing stuff, but I still wanted to get some kind of glossiness just to see how things look. But whenever I prep stuff for chrome, I make sure everything is super smooth. But we just want to do some testing. It's more or less about seeing reactions to other paints. So let me get this stuff up in the cup. We'll kick on the airbrush booth. It's going to be a little loud, but we can see how the stuff sprays onto it, and you get an idea how it starts to look on gloss white and gloss black. Alright, so, as you can kind of see, it's almost like Outclad, it's just a little bit there. I think the gloss black still feels like a little bit steel darker, where the white seems a little bit brighter. I would have to do some really major testing and stuff, but I kind of like the way it's looking. I think it works out pretty good. As when I start spraying on, I can actually see it feels like cloudy. It's like, oh, it's not really there. But then as it starts to dry a little bit, you start to get that reflection, like a chrome look to it. So I think it works out pretty good. I think it's a good paint so far. But like on this one right here, since you see it's not like super smooth, you can really bring in all that defects and everything on there when I just sprayed that directly to the resin. But using the primer sealer and then the gloss coat over, it worked out pretty well. You could see a little bit more smoothness, and I didn't even sand down those items either, so I like it. I think it's pretty good. I can tell it's durable because the other day after we finished up the first part, when I went to clean my airbrush, I didn't clean it out good enough because I wanted to see what would happen, and the next day it was very, very hard to pull out the needle and really pull back the lever. So this stuff bonds very, very well from what I can tell. So I think that's a good plus there, because when I do the Outclad chrome onto my other airbrush, this one right here, never get any clogging. It goes super smooth, and I've never had an issue with that. So I can tell already that this stuff is durable, which is good. That's a good plus. But I'm going to let this dry up for today, because I'm done anyway for today. I want to see how this stuff cures. And then hopefully within the next day or two, we can hit some clears on it. We can test some Dupli-Color clear, Tamiya clears, Tamiya's, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so it's the next day and I want to do some tests with this. So we're going to see what happens with the black one. So fairly clean finger, so we'll just kind of wipe it down, see if it rubs off. It comes off a little bit on the finger, but it's almost like I buffed it, actually, because I can actually see like around this area here gets a little bit shiny while that's there, so maybe this stuff needs to be buffed a little. I don't know, so we're gonna kind of get the buffing rag I got and see how. Yeah, actually it looks like that one side buffed up now, while this still has a little bit of like dullness to it in a way. So maybe this stuff needs to be buffed. I don't know. Unless maybe when you spray it, there's kind of like an overspray misting that kind of gets on there, like a little bit of a film. And if you kind of wipe that off. Alright, so it may be hard to see in the camera, but this side seems to have a little bit more of a mirror now than this side because I've been buffing it. Let's kind of use this finger now and see how it works with oils on your finger. Because like at this point right now, almost, if you were doing with Alclad, it might start coming off. So it does come off a little bit on your finger, but I'm really rubbing it. But we're not really seeing the black. If anything, it's looking pretty shiny. So yeah, so I guess maybe this stuff is a little bit more durable. So maybe what you have to do is, let's kind of rub this side down now just to see. Okay, so yeah, so it looks like you gotta kind of buff it a little bit too. Maybe that kind of helps a little bit. At least if you let it dry for like a day or so, just to be on the safe side. Alright, so that's a good test. What I'll probably do is I'll probably buff up the other ones, and then we can start hitting it with some clear coat and see what happens there. Alright, so we're in the garage, and now I have the piece that's half steel and half chrome. And this is the Dupli-Color clear gloss paint that I use a lot for a lot of my stuff. I'm pretty sure this is going to ruin the paint. You know, this is like car paint going onto this stuff. But I just like to test anyway. I like to see what happens. I mean, for all I know, maybe it'll crack the paint. Maybe it'll just like, the paint will just blur and just warp. Or maybe it'll clear it. I don't know. I just like to always test stuff, so this way I know down the line if I ever wanted to try something, at least I know that this does this to that item and it could work out for that specific project. So you always got to try to experiment and see what happens. So I'm going to kick on basically the little airbrush made up booth I got here, and let's see what happens. Alright, so I did one layer on it, and of course I realized, you know, it reacted. Now, it clouded it up, but it still got a little bit of reflection. Over here, it really did some crazy stuff to the chrome. Looking at it, it's like, it gave it this weird little texture look and everything. So that's actually kind of cool, though. I mean, that could actually work out down the line with something. I don't know, I'll have to test some more. But the chrome stuff definitely, you know, it took away a lot of that sheen on the chrome. It's a little bit cloudy. It almost feels like slight chrome, but more of a, you know, maybe like an acrylic paint. But it's still there. It's not really that bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it on again because the stuff's got a lot of fumes. And we're going to hit it with another coat. We'll just see what happens. Alright, so that's coat number 2, really shiny. You can actually start to see the difference now of where the chrome is and where the steel is. Now, kind of liking what's going on with the steel though. It kind of gave it like this crazy little texture, but it kind of glossed it up. It's kind of hard to see let's kind of move back a little bit, then we'll zoom in, maybe that'll be a little bit better. Yeah, so you can kind of see what, you know, what it did. It gave it this weird little texture, kind of bled all the stuff. That could be kind of cool. Chrome definitely, we lost a lot of the sheen on the chrome, but it does give a nice color though, because it didn't really like bleed like crazy. So if I ever wanted to do something that had like maybe we could go like a comic book metal, you know what I'm saying, where it's not like straight up chrome, but it's not like an acrylic paint that's kind of dull. You know, maybe I can actually do something where you chrome it out, but then you gloss it down like this, and it takes away that mirror shine, but it's still nice and smooth. So that's kind of what it looks like to me now. Looks a little bit smooth. Still got a little bit of reflection on it, but not as much as before. But this kind of came out really cool. I like the steel look. So the steel look got like this nice little shine to it, but it's got this weird little texture going now because it kind of bled it. Yeah, so alright, that's a good test. At least I know that, you know, I figured it was going to react to this stuff. At least now I know what it exactly does. Because I know with Alclad Chrome, when you hit it with this Dupli-Color gloss stuff from the car paint, it just completely like bleeds it and it wipes it all the way around, and you kind of lose everything, and then you just see like the black or white gloss underneath. But so this is test number 1. We'll see how this works out. Now the next test is we're going to do some clear yellow in clear red onto the other items that I did, and then what we'll do is we'll use it with the gloss coat of this Dupli-Color, because I do know that when you do a nice coating of Tamiya and then you use the car paint, it really doesn't react that much. So we're going to see how that works out next. We're going to do the yellow process on this one like I've done in the past with my Captain Marvel Nega bands in the past. We're going to see how this works with this here, and then we'll hit it with the car paint afterwards to see if we get a really nice gloss, because this stuff doesn't react as much to the car paint as that does. This one right here, we're going to do a clear red, a nice coating of clear red over that just to see how that works. But this one we're going to do a heavy clear red. When I say heavy, I'm not going to thin it down as much, because you got to kind of thin these down with the Tamiya thinner. But the problem is I don't know if that stuff is going to react to this stuff either. So we're going to see how things work. I know how far I could go with Alclad, so I want to see how far I could go with this stuff. So got the clears on there, and I'm kind of just looking them over, and I'm thinking, I'm seeing how things came out. Yellow always seems to go on perfectly fine. If you take your time, you thin it down, you use a hair dryer, you let it cure, you get a really nice chromed yellow look. I never had a problem with a Tamiya clear yellow over Alclad chrome. It works out really well. So that's a good sign that it works out well with this. Now the reds, I've always had trouble with reds over chrome. I guess it's because it's very hard to make it even. Plus, I didn't really prep these items like I would do for a final statue, because I would have filler primed the item, sand it down, get it nice and wet, smooth down. Then I would have used the primer sealer. Make sure that's smooth, and then I would have done the gloss coat, and everything would have been so smooth that when I got to the chrome part, it would be, it would come out looking like metal. Because I didn't do all this correctly, you could see a lot of the errors and the bubbling and stuff in these areas. But I think if you do everything proper and you take your time with the clear red, you can actually get a nice, chrome looking, red item, or blue, green, yellow, whatever you want to do. But I just know that yellow works out really well. But if you keep building up yellow, it starts to become more of a gold. Because this yellow in this bottle is kind of like, if you look at it, it's got like this really nasty looking yellow. So if you keep building up too much with yellow, you start to get that color. But if you go very light and you thin it down, you get that yellow. Now red's different. Like you can keep building up red, and you really it really doesn't matter that much. You really don't get it too thick. So as far as the testing goes, I think it's looking pretty good. If you prep everything correctly and you get everything set up and you take your time with the transparency glosses, you can get a really nice, cool look. So I'm going to let this stuff cure for a day or two, and then we'll come back and we'll go into the garage again and we'll hit it with the car paint and see if we can get a really nice gloss going, or if we're going to get a reaction. Because I do know in the past, if like on my Harley Quinn statues I've done, if I do my chrome silver paint and then I do the clear red over that, and then I hit it with the Dupli-Color car paint, you got to do it in the process of a couple of days, let stuff cure. You really get no reaction. Everything gets super glossy, and it almost looks like you can actually buff the statue with like wax after you're done. But we're working with chrome now, so I'm not really sure how this is going to work out. For all I know, that this paint might bond to this paint to the point when you gloss coat it, it doesn't shriek or crack or anything like that. But this is now on a smooth surface with this chrome. For all I know, this might crack or flake off. We don't know. We're going to see how things work out. I do know when I hit it with the car paint around the edges, when it hits like the gloss and stuff around there, that's going to be an issue. But we're mostly focused on the center issues. So like I said, we'll let this cure for a day or two. We'll come back. We'll do our final tests and go from there. Alright, so we're going to hit it with Dupli-Color Clear, see how things work out. I'm going to stop the video though, because I'm going to kick on the vacuum cleaner, which gets really loud. But I just really want to see how this stuff reacts. But this is pretty much my last testing of it. So far everything's looking pretty good. I'll show some other items too once we're finished up that I did with the paint. Alright, so we're going to kind of wrap up this video, and after all said and done, I like this Extreme Metal, aka Interactive Chrome. I really do like the way this stuff came out. If you follow the same process of getting something super smooth, like I've done with Alclad Chrome in the past, where I take an item, I sand it down, I smooth it down, and then what I do is I do primer sealer, then I do my gloss coat, and then I do my chrome work on it. So you can see how it really comes out. It's a really nice chrome if you do that whole process correctly. This is for a Daywalker blade kit I'm working on, and I realized that I like this AK Interactive Chrome because it feels more like a polished silver or platinum compared to like a chrome bumper. So if you take you know, a piece that's done in Alclad Chrome and you take this pieces and you put them together, I can see a difference, at least in, I don't know if you guys can see the difference in the camera, but Alclad Chrome feels more like a mirror shine, whereas this stuff feels more like a polished silver or platinum. And I like that, so I'm definitely going to add this AK Interactive stuff into the rotation of paints. What I might do is, you know, because it just feels like a silver type sword now, you know, especially for Blade, because he's, you know, the vampire and stuff. So, you know, this it works out pretty good. So I'm going to definitely get a couple more colors, because I got the steel, the gold in this now. They got like coppers, and they got a couple other colors. So whenever I get a chance, I'll pick up some more. At least now I know, too, that working with this stuff, Tamiya clear reds and yellows go on fine, just like if I was working with Tamiya Chrome Silver, if I was working with Alclad Chrome, you know. So at least I know this stuff won't react to that, and it'll stay on pretty durable. And then at least now I know the Dupli-Color clear going onto these clear colors onto the items make it durable and they don't react. So the only time I got reaction is if you hit that car paint onto this stuff directly. But that's also kind of cool too. So say you're working on, like, you know, I'm thinking in my head now, say I'm working on an X-Men base or a Danger Room base, maybe like Colossus, or maybe, I don't know, you know, a Cerebro helmet with Professor X. You know, maybe I could use this type of stuff onto the helmet or the wall or the base, and then spray it with the Dupli-Color clear and kind of cloud it up and give it like a little kind of worn type metal. You know, so you could always try and like mess around with reactions of paints too. And if it doesn't work out, you could always paint over it. But pretty cool stuff. Hopefully it gives you guys an idea of what this stuff looks like. You know, I always just like to do my testing. I mean, I didn't test this stuff like to the point where I buffed this stuff out and it was all like super smooth before I painted it. I just wanted to do some quick testing this week just to see where I could go with this stuff. So pretty much once I got this stuff to where I you know, wanted it, I realized I could definitely do it on these weapons for the Blade kit. So we're working out pretty cool. So hopefully it gives you guys you know, some information on this. At least this is kind of like the stuff that I do. I'm pretty sure a lot of other guys out there that do like vehicles, airplanes, maybe military type stuff, they use this you know, chrome stuff for other type of stuff that they do, you know. I don't know. So at least for, you know, comic book type statues and maybe monster stuff, this stuff is pretty cool. So maybe future projects down the line, I'll probably tell, you know, say in my videos if I use this stuff for anything specific. But I'm definitely going to be in my paint rotation now. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.